Financial Secretary Paul Chan fends off tax reliefs for the middle class while reality bites, with last year's bankruptcy numbers hitting a more than a decade high. Security Chief Chris Tang defends the decision by two officers to shoot down a man during a hostage situation in Tuen Mun last night. And President Xi hails turnaround in China-Canada ties as Canadian leader Mark Carney visits Beijing. Good evening. You're watching Cable News. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Ahead of delivering his budget speech on the 25th of next month, Financial Secretary Paul Chan briefed the new-term Legislative Council on the city's latest economic situation. He brushed off proposals to reduce the stamp duty on stock transactions and to offer relief measures targeting the middle class.
Speaking at the Legislative Council Special Finance Committee meeting, the financial chief said the steady improvement in the mainland economy and its ample policy space allow him to be cautiously optimistic about the SAR's economic outlook for 2026. Responding to lawmakers' proposals for a mechanism to review the stock stamp duty, Chan reiterated there would be no further cuts unless the city's external competitiveness was threatened. He cited previous government studies indicating the current rate remains appropriate for existing trading volumes and competitive standing. Meanwhile, lawmaker Chris asked whether the new budget could include more policies to assist the middle class, suggesting measures like increasing the child allowance or reinstating the student subsidy. Lawmaker Mark Chong also proposed that the authority do more this year to help the poor middle class, suggesting measures like allowing owner-occupiers to be exempt from rates. In response, Chan disagreed that taxpayers receive no benefit, arguing that revenue funds various essentials like transport infrastructure, healthcare, and education, providing for public needs and security. On child allowances, he said they would be fully reviewed later. Chen added that to support the development of the northern metropolis, the government may issue longer-term bonds. He also stated future bond issuance ratios and maturity periods would be adjusted to meet market needs.
Meanwhile, a sluggish economic recovery has pushed more indebted Hong Kongers and small firms over the edge, with both personal and company bankruptcies surging to over a decade's high in 2025.
The official receiver's office recorded over 10,000 bankruptcy petitions in 2025, up 9% from a year ago to the most since 2014. Compulsory winding up petitions against companies surged 12% to 831 over the year, the highest since 2005. For December alone, winding up petitions presented at courts dropped 13% from November to 71, but climbed 24% from 2024. Meanwhile, 820 bankruptcy applications were logged in the month, rising 4% from a year ago and unchanged from the previous month.
Two police officers opened fire in Tuen Mun Town Plaza on Thursday night, taking down a knife-wielding man during a hostage situation. The man suspected to be under drug influence was pronounced dead upon arriving at the hospital. Secretary for Security Chris Tang praised the officers for their bravery and decisiveness to take swift action. Evelyn Bai has more details.
Surveillance footage showed shoppers fleeing to avoid a man in a white shirt who took a passerby hostage and attempted to attack her with a knife. After multiple verbal warnings and a burst of pepper spray, officers fired twice, hitting the man in the right shoulder and chest. The suspect, 34 years old, was taken to Tuen Mun Hospital unconscious and was certified dead afterwards. The 51-year-old woman he had held hostage was treated for minor abrasions. Taking to the airwaves, Security Chief Chris Tang said the officers were very brave and decisive and acted in line with their training. Tang added that the decision to open fire was not easy, but to save lives, they must act decisively to aim at the suspect's largest body part to stop him from stabbing the victim. The area where the shooting took place was reopened to the public after staff inspected the scene and cleaned the floor. The knife used by the man was reportedly stolen from a supermarket inside the plaza, which had its food court closed today. Police added that the Vietnamese man shot, a Hong Kong identity card holder, had a trial background and previous drug-related offenses. Suspected dangerous drugs and an extendable baton were seized from him and the bag he carried. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
President Xi Jinping met Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney in Beijing, with both leaders pledging to improve relations between their countries. Carney said China and Canada agreed to lower trade barriers, including a reduction in tariffs for Chinese electric vehicles and Canadian canola. Jamie Liu reports.
At the meeting, Xi called on China and Canada to advance the building of a new strategic partnership with a sense of responsibility toward history, the people, and the world. Recognizing their differences, he urged the two nations to respect each other and step up cooperation to meet global challenges. I'm willing to work together with you to promote China-Canada relations onto a path of healthy, stable, and sustainable development, Xi said. On his part, Carney reaffirmed the One China principle and pledged cooperation in areas such as agriculture, energy, and finance.
Together, we can build on the best of what this relationship has been in the past to create a new one, adapted to new global realities, that will deliver stability, security, and prosperity to our peoples on both sides of the Pacific.
Speaking to reporters afterwards, Carney, the first Canadian Prime Minister to visit China in 8 years, hailed a strategic partnership with Beijing, calling it a recalibration. Carney announced Canada will allow up to 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into its market at a tariff rate of about 6%, down from the current 100%. In turn, he said Ottawa expects Beijing to cut tariffs on Canadian canola seeds and to offer visa-free travel to Canadians. Carney was asked whether he considers China a more predictable and maybe reliable partner compared to the United States. Only referring to ties with Beijing, he said engaging in frank dialogue with the Chinese on areas of cooperation and differences had led to a more predictable relationship. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
To combat bid rigging, the government has proposed setting up a pre-vetted list of building renovation contractors under the Urban Renewal Authority. Development Chief Bernadette Lin said firms accused of violations may be delisted even before being charged, but it does not affect their ongoing works. Jamie Liu reports.
In the wake of the deadly Taipo fire, the authority suggested revamping the smart tender scheme under the URA, which provides technical support for homeowners in handling tenders and procurements. The revamp would see the URA make a pre-selected list of contractors and consultants vetted by police and other enforcement agencies for criminal or disciplinary records. Speaking on a radio program, Secretary for Development Bernadette Lin signaled a stringent approach in selecting the companies on the URA list. She said in some cases, contractors could be taken off the list even if they were still under investigation and yet to face formal charges. However, she noted that the removal only meant the company would not get to take on new renovation projects and their ongoing work stay unaffected. Another proposed policy is to list all major building renovation projects as Class 1 minor works under the law, making it compulsory to hire third-party professionals for supervision and formulation of safety plans. Lin admitted this could mean more expensive projects, but said the revamped URA scheme would also guard against unreasonable pricing and have a positive effect on cost management. When asked about the recent fatal construction site incidents, the Development Secretary said when making the pre-vetted list, authorities would carefully review contractors involved in those incidents. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Hong Kong will celebrate the Year of the Horse with a stunning display of fireworks sparking over Victoria Harbour at 8 p.m. on February 18th, the second day of the Lunar New Year. Evelyn Bai tells us more.
To welcome the Year of the Horse, the firework display will include horseshoe patterns paired with the word "win" below, symbolizing citywide success. The display will also feature many auspicious horse-related and Lunar New Year motifs, such as the Chinese character for fortune and the number 8, to convey well wishes and reflect the city's resilience and optimism. Themed prosperity gallops across Hong Kong. The 23-minute show will feature a total of 31,888 pyrotechnic shells, with a budget of more than $19 million.
3, 2, 1.
The show was sponsored by the Hong Kong Jockey Club for the first time.
In Chinese mainland, horses have a huge tradition and have made significant contributions to the development of the community. And you see this when you look in arts, sports, and culture. Horse racing is a symbol of the city's stability under the one country, two systems, famously expressed by the famous leader Deng Xiaoping that horse racing will go on.
Residents can enjoy the show from both sides of Victoria Harbour, including Tsim Sha Tsui and Wan Chai. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
The Seoul Central District Court has sentenced former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol to 5 years in prison after convicting him on the majority of charges in his first trial, including obstruction of special official duties and abuse of authority to infringe upon others' rights. Yoon's lawyer has stated they will appeal.
The court stated that during the investigation, Yoon used security personnel to obstruct law enforcement agencies from lawfully executing a detention order and attempted to destroy evidence. The court said he treated public servants as personal tools for his own safety and private interests. To uphold the rule of law, a severe punishment was deemed necessary. Yoon is currently implicated in 8 separate criminal cases. This is the first to reach a verdict, and he will continue to stand trial for the remaining 7. The most significant case, in which he is accused of leading an insurrection, is scheduled for its first instance verdict on the 19th of next month. The special prosecution team has requested the death penalty.
U.S. President Donald Trump has accepted the Nobel Peace Prize medal gifted to him by the laureate Maria Machado.
The Venezuelan opposition leader left the White House after more than 1 hour of talks with Trump. It was their first meeting since she was awarded the prize and since U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Machado described the talks as productive and presented her Peace Prize to Trump in recognition of his contribution to the freedom of the Venezuelan people. Trump thanked her on social media, calling it a gesture of mutual respect. White House officials confirmed the president intends to keep the award. However, the gesture proves to be purely symbolic, as the Norwegian Nobel Institute reiterated that the prize cannot be transferred, shared, or revoked.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 78 points. Top active stocks of the day. Alibaba was up $1.60. Tencent was down $4.50. PopMart was down $10.60. And Trip.com was up $6.20. In snooker, this year's World Grand Prix will return to Hong Kong, with top stars playing for a 6-day tournament at Kai Tak Arena.
The tournament showcases the top 32 players of the season to compete for world ranking points. 3 new Hong Kongers, namely Ronnie O'Sullivan, Judd Trump, and reigning world champion Neil Robertson, will be competing. Meanwhile, there will be 10 mainland players, including Zhou Yuelong, chasing for the title, marking the highest number in the tournament's history. Last year's event saw spectators asked to leave early. Sports Commissioner George Tsoi stated that organizers and Kai Tak Sports Park addressed the issue the following day, with both parties having reviewed lessons learned and implemented improvements. The tournament runs from February 3rd to 8th, with tickets priced from $80 to $2,580. Local star Marco Fu will appear in an exhibition match against seven-time world champion Stephen Hendry.
Onto the weather now. Mainly fine, it will be warm and very dry during the day. Temperatures will range between 17 and 24 degrees. Moderate east to northeasterly winds. That's our news tonight. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Thanks for watching and good night.